Welcome back to the Cosmic Consciousness series. Don't forget to like and subscribe to me, myself, and I. Welcome to the Unity, brothers and sisters. Today we will be covering Chapter 10, Colonel James Gardiner. Okay, Colonel James Gardiner. This one's very short. Okay, so it says 1688 through 1745. Whatever was going on back then, I don't remember. Born January 10th, 1688. It is said to have fought, is said to have fought 3 duels before he was grown up. Entered the army young and fought with great bravery. His relations with women said to have been free, even licentious. Was not religious, even in the reverse of that, but at times suffered inexpressible remorse on account of his life, which seemed to him evil. In the middle of July 1719, when he was 31 and a half years of age, occurred the event which gives him a place in this volume. He had, it says, spent the evening in some gay company and had an unhappy assignation with a married woman, whom he was to attend exactly at 12. That is p.m. something, I don't know. This is a really jumbled up mess of words. The company broke up at 11, and not judging it convenient to anticipate the time appointed, he went into his chamber to kill the tedious hour, perhaps with some amusing book or some other way. I wonder. But it very accidentally happened that he took up a religious book which his good mother or aunt had, without his knowledge, slipped into his portmanteau. It was called, if I remember the title exactly, The Christian Soldier, or Heaven Taken by Storm. And it was written by Mr. Thomas Watson. Guessing by the title of it that he would find some phrases of his own profession spiritualized in a manner which he thought might afford him some diversion, that is, he resolved to dip into it, but he took no serious notice of anything it had in it. And yet, while the book was in his hand, an impression was made upon his mind, perhaps God only knows how, which drew after it a train of the most important and happy consequences. He thought he saw an unusual blaze of light fall upon the book which he was reading, which he at first imagined might happen by some accident in the candle, but lifting up his eyes, he apprehended, to his extreme amazement, that there was before him, as it were suspended in the air, a visible representation of the Lord Jesus Christ upon a cross, surrounded upon all sides with a glory, and was impressed as if a voice, or something equivalent to a voice, had come to him to this effect, for he was not confident as to the words. O sinner, did I suffer this for thee, and are these thy returns? So struck with so amazing a phenomenon as this, there remained hardly any life in him, so that he sank down in the armchair in which he sat and continued, he knew not how long, insensible. The immediate effect of Gardiner's experience is said to have been a knowledge, or rather a sight, of the majesty and goodness of God. And his afterlife, which is a period of 26 years after, was of distinguished excellence. This new man was as virtuous and pure and godly as the old had been licentious and profane. Wow. So it changed that guy's life, didn't it? And that's the end of it. Now we're going into Swedenborg. Okay, Chapter 11, The Great Swedenborg. Born 1688, died 1772. Independently of illumination, Swedenborg was one of the great men of all time, a great thinker, a great writer, a great scientist, a great engineer. In 1743, at the age of 54 years, something happened. Some change took place in him. It does not seem to have been any form of insanity, since he was not sick, maintained and even increased all his friendships, was apparently entirely unsuspected by those about him of any mental alienation. His own account of his illumination to his friend Robsam, as far as it goes, is very characteristic. He reports that God appeared to him and said, I am the God, the Lord, the Creator, the Redeemer of the world. I have chosen thee to unfold the spiritual sense of the Holy Scriptures. I will myself dictate to thee what thou shalt write. Wow, okay. That's kind of how mine goes. It is admitted by all students of Swedenborg's life that the change was in reality an illumination, that putting aside his visions of angels and demons, he actually had thereafter a spiritual insight beyond that of ordinary men, and if he was a visionary, he also led the most real life of any man then in the world. As for his visions, it may be said that they were not fundamentally different from those of Blake, Bayman, Dante, and others. It must be remembered that these men see things that we do not see, things that are outside of our language. If then they use this language, which is all they have, to set them before us, it seems inevitable that we should not understand their words as they understand them. That is so true. Like, I'll wake up tomorrow and read something that I wrote the night before, and it makes no sense at all to me. Just overnight. So hard to explain. The result, in the case of every such expositor, however common sense he tries to be, in the case of Jesus, Gautama, Paul, and all the rest, is terrible misunderstanding and confusion. And yet, in spite of all, something passes from these men to us of more importance than all that we could get from the ordinary scientists and philosophers. Many facts indicate that Swedenborg may have belonged to the class of men here in question. He was never married, it says. He had great modesty and gentleness of bearing. His habits were simple. He lived on bread, milk, vegetables. Okay, vegetables, I don't know why I felt the need to tell us that. He was a man who won the respect, confidence, and love of all who came in contact with him. Though many of those about him did not believe in his visions, they respected him too much to make light of these in Swedenborg's presence. His teaching at bottom is that of all the great seers, that God in himself is infinite love, that his manifestation, form, or body is infinite wisdom, that divine love is the self-subsisting life of the universe. Wow, I can relate with that. Swedenborg departs from the norm of these cases, especially by his age, 54 years, at illumination. It seems incredible that a man could go on growing to such an age. Still, this is what we must believe if we include him. Mohammed was 39, Las Casas 40, CMC 49. These were undoubted cases, yes, and it does not seem as if Swedenborg's personal history can be explained on any other hypothesis. That is, other than that, than he had cosmic consciousness. Okay, let's see, chapter 12, we can do this one too. Chapter 12, William Wordsworth. Born 1770, died 1850. I think I've heard of him before. That the mind of this writer, nearly if not quite a poet, in his loftier moods, attained a very close neighborhood to cosmic consciousness, if he did not actually enter the magic territory of the kingdom of heaven, no one will deny who knows what these words mean and who also has read him, that is, with any sympathy. In fact, the following short passages from lines written at Tintern Abbey in his 29th year prove as much. In the first, he speaks of that blessed mood, in which the burden of the mystery, in which the heavy and the weary weight of all this unintelligible world is lightened, that serene and blessed mood in which the affections gently lead us on until the breath of this corporeal frame, I thought it said flame, and even the motion of our human blood almost suspended, we are laid asleep in body and becomes rather a living soul. While with an eye made quiet by the power of harmony and the deep power of joy, we see into the life of things. This passage indicates plainly the relief, approaching to joy, that is, and the enlightenment, approximating illumination, that is, which belong to the unrisen sun of the cosmic sense. But there is no evidence that upon him at any time the sun actually rose, that the veil was ever rent and the splendor let through. In fact, it may be considered as quite clear that this did not happen. Then next line follows the usual doubt. If this but be a vain belief, it says, whether or not the revelation can be relied on, a question never asked, at least after the first few minutes or hours, by a person who has obtained even one glimpse of the Brahmic splendor. Later in the same poem is another passage describing, in other words, the same mental condition, which may be properly called the twilight of cosmic consciousness. He says, I have felt a presence that disturbs me with joy, of elevated thoughts, a sense sublime, of something far more deeply interfused, whose dwelling is the light of setting suns, and the round ocean, and the living air, and the blue sky, and in the mind of man, a motion and a spirit that impels all thinking things, all objects of thoughts, and rolls through all things. Wow, okay. Cool. Well, I guess that wraps up this sesh. Hope you guys derived a lot. I know I did. Got plenty out of that. Till next time, be good, brothers and sisters.